Hey everyone, welcome to another lecture. In this lecture, now we're going to go ahead and design the layout for our application. So we're going to go ahead and create the activity that we need, and we will create the layout. So I'm going to open the Android Studio and create the new activity for our OTP authentication services. So here, unlike in email authentication, we're not going to have two separate activities like login and register. Here we're going to have only one activity which will let the user enter the phone number and enter the OTP, and if the operation is successful, they'll be redirected to the main activity or dashboard activity. And there you can provide all sort of services that you want to provide to the authenticated user. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the activity, and that is gonna be an empty activity, obviously. So this activity name is authentication, and this is gonna be a launcher activity, obviously, because we want user to see this activity whenever they log into our application or whenever they open our application for the first time, or even if they have logged out from the previous session, we will show this to the user. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this. I'm gonna go ahead and close this main activity because we don't want that, and open up this authentication.xml, and let's go ahead and design this stuff. But we also need to remove one more stuff from this because we don't want this main activity to be our launcher activity. So let's go ahead and remove this intent filter and close this here. And now our authentication activity is our launcher activity, and this activity will be displayed to the user whenever they open our application. Okay, now let's go and design this. So this is going to be a simple layout. We are only going to have two fields for the country code and the phone number, and one button that will let the user perform the operation of sending the or receiving the OTP. So whenever user click on that receive OTP button, we will go to the server and send the OTP to that particular number. Okay, let's go ahead and design that. So from the text, I'm going to get the phone number field here. Okay, and we're gonna have two of them because one for the country code. So let me fix that constant there. Okay, so this both field is going to have the max length of 3 and 10 because country code can be of maximum number 3 and the phone number can be of maximum number 10, right? So we're gonna go ahead and fix that. So let me scroll down here and find the properties called max length, and it's gonna be 3 for the country code, and it's gonna be 10 for the phone number. Okay, now let me go here and give the ID for both of these fields. So ID is C code or country code. Okay, you can also say only CC, it's up to you. Okay, and this is our phone number. So phone number. All right, now let's go and fix this constant. So I want to give fixed width for this here, so it's gonna be 50 dp. Let's see if that is enough. Okay, and we will fix this constant just after this. Okay, like that. So let's give the hint for this text view, that is phone number. Okay, and ID that we already have given here. Now let's drag and drop the button which will send the OTP whenever user click on that. And similarly, we will go ahead and verify and validate these fields, okay, in our Java code in a second. So let me fix that. And let me give the ID. And we'll give the name as send OTP. Okay, now let's go to our authentication.java file here. What we'll do is we'll create the variables, we'll extract the data, validate the data, that is validate the phone number and country code, and we'll toast that number that user have given. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the variable. We have the button as well. Okay, now Similarly, we'll get the resources dot country code and phone number resources, that is r dot id dot phone number, and button is send OTP button, find v by id r dot id dot send OTP button. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and set the on-click listener on this button. Okay, and now here what we'll do is we'll validate if datas are inserted by the user or not. So we can do that by getting this text and checking if that text is empty or not, and we'll just set the error to required. Okay, if phone number is empty, then we will display the error that phone number is required. Okay, so this is the verification part, right? And now here, once the verification is done, we will toast the number that is inserted by the user, and plus is required, so we'll add it from here, and we'll get the phone country code first. Country code dot get text dot toString plus we'll get the phone number. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run this application and see if this thing is working or not. So when we enter the country code and phone number and click on this button, we should get that number displayed here. Okay, the app is running now, and let's go ahead and enter the sample number. Okay, click on send OTP and we should see the number pop up here. Okay, that's right. Now let's go ahead and implement few more thing here in this authentication layout. So once the user click on send OTP, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hide this country code, number, button and everything, and we're gonna show different layout here, because once the users click on send OTP and OTP is sent successfully, then we don't want user to see the same thing. What we want is we want user to be able to enter the OTP and click on verify, and if the verification is successful, we will send them to the main activity, right? So I'm gonna design one more layout here just below this. So that layout is going to have a number field to enter the OTP. So let me fix all of this. Okay, and it's going to have the constant to the login and register, and make it as match constant, give some margin. Okay, and it's going to have the ID of enter OTP field. Okay, and now let me give the hint as well. Enter OTP is a hint. All right, now it's going to have two buttons. One is to verify the OTP and another one is to resend the OTP. Okay, because in certain period of time, if user do not receive the OTP or user do not enter the OTP, then we're going to display the resend button so that user can resend the OTP if they do not receive it. Okay, so let's go ahead and add two buttons here. These buttons are going to sit right just below this edit text. So let me set the margin. Okay, so it's going to have verify text, and one more button is for resending the OTP. And initially we are going to disable this button so that user won't be able to click on resend, and after a certain period we are going to re-enable this button so that user will be able to resend the OTP. Okay, now resend is the name for this and ID is resend OTP button. Okay, that's that. And let me make it match constant, give the margins and everything. Okay, and now all of these things are going to be hidden from the initial layout. Okay, so let me go here and let me hide this. We'll only display this once the OTP is sent to the user. Okay, all right. Now this is the initial thing they are going to see, and once user click on send OTP, we are going to hide all of these things and we're going to display the other layout that we just designed. Okay, so let's go here in the authentication and add one more field here. Okay, and two more buttons, variables. Verify OTP, oops, and resend OTP. Okay, now let me do the usual thing by connecting to the XML resources. So enter OTP field, find view by ID r.id. Okay, and another is verify OTP r.id. Okay, I think I have not given the ID to that button, so yes, let me give ID to this button. Okay, let's go here and connect that. And now finally resend OTP. Okay, so these are all the resources that we need. Now we will go ahead and create one more string variable here for the phone number. Okay, I'm just gonna call it as user phone number. Okay, and this is going to store our phone number that is entered by the user. So here let me initialize that with the same thing that we have written here. So now let's go ahead and create few methods that we need. So first thing is public void, and first thing is verify phone number. Let me give this as, and here we'll pass the string phone number. Okay, phone num, and inside this we will send the verification, and one more we need for authentication. So public void authenticate user. Okay, and it's going to take phone auth credentials as the parameter. Okay, so we will create these credentials when we send the OTP to the user, and we will create that when the authentication is successful using OTP or by the automatic process. So we'll talk about all that in the coming videos, obviously. Yeah, I will see you in the next video then.